Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. Again, some housekeeping. If you're new here, smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 2K. Um, Big up the panel, big up my co-hosts. Yeah, man. For me, for once, I thought like we deserve to go away from the Benito Villamarin with 3 points. It's a fucking travesty that we didn't. I thought we had enough quality, enough gas in our tank to, nab all 3 points and be super pleased with our performance. Betis away has never been an easy place to go to. Yes, the last time they Betis was maybe in like 2017, 2016. I don't recall.
2020.
2020, yeah. So yeah, it's still been 3-4 years. It's almost end of December. So like yeah, it has been a little easy going for us for the last few years, but we always know, we expect a fight. We expect the crowd to be raucous, the players to give their absolute everything when up against us, and we just saw that someone scoring their first goal in 2.5 years, and that just decided the outcome of the game. But yeah, Carlo should have done things slightly differently. We would all have the same opinion, I guess. I wasn't super pleased with some of his decisions, especially his substitutions and the shape as well. In the first half, it was free for all. I don't think that the players were comfortable. Um, I don't think we were very efficient with how we started to set up play. We just should have done so much more better, man. This team has set the bar, set the standard for the season. We expect much better, but I think this can be an acceptable result in a sense. I don't want to say that. I'll never say that. I'll never say that about any result, but I feel like we can take this with a bit of pride that our players gave it their all. But yeah, I would come to you guys, man. I'll begin with you, Bo. Betis away, never easy, but thoughts on today's performance,
Yeah,
basically.
and before I start, I'm just gonna correct you at one point.
Mm.
I think it wasn't Rubial's first goal in 20 years. Like last year, he scored like a brace against Helsinki, but it was definitely his first goal in the league. I think in a long time.
In the league, yeah, that's what I.
Yeah. So, but yeah, overall, I think I before we came on air, I already told you guys how I felt about it. It was like incredibly frustrating. You said that we deserve 3 points. Like I disagree with you. I don't think we deserve 3 points. I think it was a
Mm,
fair result because like you mentioned in the first half, players weren't exactly comfortable, and even the chances we created, like today, like you can't point down to one chance and say, oh yeah, this should have been converted. Like we didn't really have that many clear cut chances. I was just looking at the stats, like before coming on, and I saw like our expected goal per shot was like incredibly low. So that just tells you like about the chances, the quality of chances that we created today. And playing without a nine, we were essentially trying to get pop shots from outside the box or around the line and everything. So for me, chance creation today was an issue, and I think if Bellingham didn't score that, that wonderful goal, uh, that literally came out of nothing, and it was like his individual brilliance that got us that
he
goal.
basically sets himself up, right?
Yeah, you can't really replicate that in a match. It's like
Mm,
you do it once in a match, you can't really expect him to do it over and over.
mm,
So those things don't happen, and if you remove that, Real Madrid, like, they had a lot of possession, but possession for possession's sake doesn't really help anybody. So the way I looked at it, a draw is probably a fair result because Betis, they were a lot more threatening. They got a lot more shots in the box, inside our box. So overall, I think a draw is a fair result.
Especially in the first half, I felt like Betis were all over us. The last 15-20 minutes, they just knew. They just tightened the screw. Just brought their line up a bit more further. Uh, Tried to exploit us.
I think even after the goal that we scored,
Mm,
Bellingham's goal, Real Madrid kind of like retreated. I was watching ESPN and the commentators on there. They were saying the fact that the passes Real Madrid were making after scoring the goal was like, it's the final minutes of the game, not
yeah,
as if we are playing in the
seeing the game
60th.
out, right?
Yeah.
Basically, I don't know why we didn't show initiative, man. It's frustrating.
Yeah,
Not gonna
so
lie. Mm,
overall, I have doubts about the way we approach the game. I think
mm,
Ancelotti in the post match said that he's satisfied with the point because it's a difficult venue or whatever. So it makes me wonder what the status of the team players is. because they've been playing a lot of games coming up to this one. Although we had a 1 week break, but it's still a huge fixture congestion with the amount of injuries that we had. Overall, when you look at it in the bigger picture, it's all about looking how everything stacks up in the table. I think if Barcelona wins today, we're gonna go top. We're gonna stay top. But the thing is, like, then we allow Barcelona back into the race. They close the gap down us. If they draw, then everybody's in the same position. Girona is still gonna be tied with them. If Girona wins, then Girona opens up a lead. So yeah, I don't think it was the optimum result for us. A few decisions that Ancelotti made, like, I wasn't really happy about. We're probably going to talk about it later, but overall, you just have to take the draw.
Fair. Jacob, man, initial thoughts.
Yeah, I have to agree with Mo. Like, I am happy that we didn't come out with a loss in the end, and then Betis certainly had their chances. The first half was very entertaining for me. The second half it died off, and both teams were like pretty horrible for me. And then towards the end we tried, but then it was too late, and the subs also were too late for me. So things didn't go away, man. And I just hope the result with Girona and Barcelona is favorable for us.
That's what I hope to. It's early days in the season, and we have to rely on some of our most hated advocates to do a job for us. It's pretty insane. But Farouk, man, I know it wasn't pleasing on the eye, and we would agree with that for once, for today. But yeah, man, initial impressions.
Sunaidi's talking as if this is prime Mourinho's team, and every week we're being treated to 5-star performances, man. I mean,
but we have been in a good run of form. Let's be honest.
I mean, the point is, if there is anything, it just goes back for me. It just reinforces the fact that this is what I always fear, is that when the tough gets going, like, Carlo is not the person to make the right changes. This team has always performed in moments of individual brilliance. Today, Rodrigo was fine, but there was no output, And as you guys pointed out, like, it took a situation that if we recreate 1,000 times, Bellingham doesn't replicate. It's take a moment of individual brilliance to get a goal out of nothing. And that's the point, as more rightly said, like, we have 6 first-teamers out. If a team containing Modric, Kroos, Bellingham, Fede, Rodrigo cannot create one clear-cut chance, I'm sorry, but then we're in the wrong business. So that's the thing. Like, there is no directive to these players. They just go on the pitch, play the ball to the left side, whoever it is, either it's Rodrigo, Vinicius, and hope for something to happen. And it's something that keeps happening and happening and happening again. You will get away with it in the league because it's 38 games. But when push comes to shove, when you play the big boys in Europe, you definitely ain't getting away with that. So that's just the thing. Like, it's for the league, it's fine. I believe that Real Betis is one of those games that you would go into the Villamarin is one of those places that you put on the in the car and then be like, okay, even if we drop points here and loss, as long as we don't lose, like, it's fine. It's one of those things that, okay, when we look at the result in the table, yeah, it's fine. But then performance wise, like, it's just building up to what has been for the past 20 games. Like, in 20 games you can count maybe 6 games where you can actually see, yeah, like, we dominated, we were the best team, we looked like winning from the very first second. But that's just the thing. Like, it's just the bigger picture, and it doesn't look good.
Again, another damn indictment of Carlo and this somewhat iffy.
Before you go forward, I just like to say one thing I didn't say at the start. I'm meeting Farouk after a long time, so I'm just happy to be blessed by his presence today.
Fair. We need that, right? We need that kick up our ass to really, appreciate Carlo. I'm truly thankful that Farouk exists. I almost said Farlo, but yeah, Farouk exists, so that we, tend to forgive Carlo for his flaws sometimes. But yeah, today wasn't great. But I would like to, highlight this comment from Tasa Leba. He mentions over here, there was one point of the game, I don't remember which minute, Modric did his casual shoulder turn and he was in front of the final third alone, but we didn't have anyone there. Mo, I'll come to you, yeah? So games at home, we all know football is a weird game, right? We can set up the exact same way, but a trip away to a decent opposition and a trip and the game at home is going to completely look different with the same tactical setup, the same lineup, the same the same basic foundation. It'll look entirely different. But today, it was evident from the get go that we clearly lacked someone up top. My question is, Jacob was really frustrated, like he was mentioning it to me before we actually went live, that Joselu should have come on way earlier. Um, was it something that we could have done something about, in the first half itself, since we clearly saw that we lacked someone as a reference point that we always, whine about?
I mean, you and Jacob are like exactly on point. The fact that
Mm.
Joselu wasn't involved in the game like earlier probably should have been brought, early on. But I disagree with the tactics bit, because I think you cannot have the same tactics when you don't have Carvajal. I mean, we saw how Lucas played, right? There was a number of
Yeah.
occasions when the team would find him into space, into areas. He would take the ball and then he would just like pull it back on his other leg, because he doesn't really have the ability to carry the ball, play the pass that Carvajal does. I mean, yeah, Lucas isn't like a right back. Like, okay, he wasn't a right back, but now he's converted himself into it. But then he doesn't really have the, let's say, the quality of Carvajal, because Carvajal on his day is like one of the best fullbacks in the world. If it was up to me, he'd be the best right back in the world. But it isn't up to me alone. So I think Real Madrid especially missed Carvajal today, because we didn't really have his ability to go up, play between the lines, underlap, and occupy those spaces. So that was one huge difference that I saw. And then yeah, definitely Joselu should have been brought earlier. But even when Joselu was brought on, I don't really think we played to his strengths, right? Because we didn't see the team trying to push the ball out wide and then play in crosses. Actually, because of the way Ancelotti made substitutions, I thought that we totally lost control of the ball towards the end of the game, and we ceded the honors onto Betis, and they were the ones who were dominating and creating chances towards the end. I think Isco could have won it for them when he hit the bar. So overall, I think even with Joselu, we didn't really do anything. So for me, this game, I kind of have to agree with Farouk, although I don't agree with Farouk on this point often, but I think Ancelotti got his his some of his decisions wrong today.
100%. I would like to share the same sentiment, but I was mentioning this to Jacob as well. Joselu, yes, you can in theory you can argue that he is a solution for a reference point. He's the man that you would look for, especially in the dying minutes of the game, to provide something different. The plan B, cross the ball into him. He is pretty exceptional in the air. We play to his strengths, and he might nick a goal for us. But we saw against Granada, like it's sometimes it might not go his way, and it might tank his confidence, and you never really can expect Joselu to change the course of the game on his own.
I think when we talk about Joselu, we have to talk about him because he's the only option we have, right? It's not because he's a brilliant player. I think we all are on the same page on that. But even then, yeah, I do agree with you when you say, Joselu needs a lot of chances to score one goal. Like I've seen him take like 5 or 6 chances in one game to get one goal. And I think for me, for Real Madrid's end, it's like not optimal to have that kind of a striker up front. But even then, today I can't remember Real Madrid doing anything to create chances for him. And I think the fact of the matter is the way Ancelotti used the substitutions, right?
Mm-hmm.
We ended up in a situation where we completely lost control of the middle of the park.
Yeah. Why was Modric substituted? Like, can you please fill me in, man? Like, because I thought he was having a very good game.
To be quite honest, I thought Modric shouldn't have started. Because I think he should probably have come off the bench, because we were, I said it in the first half as well, we were playing with an extra midfielder. So Modric coming off the bench today would have helped us. After that we went 1-0 up. He probably brought on Ceballos to I don't know what reason he brought Ceballos on
to enforce control. Is that the understanding?
If you want to enforce control, you don't take Modric off.
Yeah,
because Modric is the quintessential player that you need to control a game.
So stamina was in the equation, do you think?
I'm not sure. Maybe there were some fitness issues. I don't know, because he was actually asked about this in the press conference, and Modric was pretty angry on being substituted out, and he said that I don't know what happened over there. So I don't really know what happened with Modric over there and why he was brought off. But for me, if it was,
is it the casual case of Ancelotti being the good guy, the big man, allowing Danny to get his flowers in front of his boyhood or former club or whatever the fuck that was? I thought that was the case.
I mean, they were booing
Yeah.
him badly. So I just think it's the thing is like he's trying to manage minutes sometimes because Ceballos definitely needs to get some minutes. He had a long injury layoff, so there's that. That's one explanation that you could do. For me personally, I think the Ceballos substitution was a mistake because later on he has to take on Brahim to bring on Joselu. I think if he was at all taking off Madrid, then Joselu should have been coming on, much earlier. So yeah, Ancelotti got his substitutions wrong towards the end. He had to bring on Nico Paz, and he took off Tony Cruz, which again, I didn't really understand because Tony Cruz is necessary to control the pace of the game. You don't have a player like Camavinga that you take off Cruz, and Camavinga then breaks the game down for the opponents. But Nico Paz also, Nico Paz is somebody who likes being on the ball and controlling possession. In that situation, I think we need a direct player, right? Like I would have preferred if he brought on Gonzalo Garcia.
Gonzalo Garcia.
Yeah, because that's somebody who can take the ball and run at defenders. But Ancelotti's Ancelotti. He knows better than us. That's why he's manager. So he probably had his reasons.
Probably, I feel like that is a bit more understandable because when I've seen Gonzalo Garcia play for the first team, he lacks a bit of. He needs a bit more time to understand that he's in that position. He is being given the trust to play among the first team, because I've seen himself having that oh my god I'm here moment so many times during games. But Nico Paz, he just looks super composed. Probably that's the reason why especially Betis away, not an easy stadium to play in. Last 10 minutes sent on with the job to turn the game. Nico Paz probably check the composure list, at least for me. But Farouk, man, like what Ta Saliba was mentioning here, when Modric turned and no one was there, I just had flashbacks of Cristiano running. Do you think that's just another indictment of why we should ask Carlo and his team that when we look for someone, especially in the final third, when we're building up, play to make a run, we just seldom see anybody there. Jude, like we all discussed, a couple of minutes ago, that he had to take initiative into his own hands to create that goal. Like, why do you think that's the case, man? Is it purely down to coaching, or is it sometimes down to desire from the players?
I think it's not something that's down to desire, and I just think it's something that's totally down to coaching, and that's the thing. Like you're having runs from the winger who is hogging the touchline, but that's the thing key thing here. Like a winger who is hogging the touchline. Today we started with no striker, right? So we have Rodrigo and what's it called, and I don't know, was it Modric, was it Brahim, whoever it was that was supposed to play alongside him as a number 9. So for that reason, you see that Rodrigo will not always be in that position to make that runs down the channel, because why, he is positioned centrally, inverted as a trying to come into the central position, because basically there is no one there. So I think it's just down to the system, and not it's not about the players not being adequate enough. It's not about desire or anything. It's just totally down to, this is one of the flaws of the diamond. And as more rightly pointed out, although we had arguments about this in the past, but for this variation of this team, it seems to be that in certain situations a number 9 is a must, otherwise this will not work. And it's not about the fact that Joselu is incapable, or like what he is or what he isn't. No, it's just about the fact that the presence of a number 9 itself now gives the defenders what to focus on through the middle, and gives wingers like Rodrigo the chance to make that runs that Modric was looking for. So this is just one of the things. It's not about the fact that, okay, like Rodrigo, Joselu is going to come and, bang 10 goals. No. Yeah, everyone knows that Joselu is basically a fiat. We're not expecting, anything else from him. This is what he is. But at least his presence alone is enough to create, alternatives, like to create different kind of situations for the players to exploit. But that's not just happening. And this is totally down on what instructions, rather the lack of clear instructions from the coaching staff.
Jacob, do you have something to pitch in on this?
Yeah, I'd actually like to say my thoughts about Modric starting today, right? I thought he was exceptional. He was connecting the dots, but then him starting wasn't actually like really good for the team. It just made him look a bit better compared to the rest of the team, because he was so far up the pitch.
He was given free rein, right?
Yeah, he was so far up the pitch that he wasn't really controlling the middle of the park or helping the other midfielders getting forward. He was just isolated out in front, and then that didn't really help anyone except, making Modric some highlight reels. I guess that was the gist of it, just Modric starting. And the repercussions of that was basically Bellingham was like way too far in many plays, or when he had to go forward, then Modric had to come back, and then that wasn't like really pretty to watch. That wasn't seamless today because these guys aren't used to playing this way. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can attribute that to Carlo basically setting us up that way, but I wouldn't fault really Modric for being tasked with the duty that he was best out upon today. Like, I felt like he did what he could do best. Especially his long shot was pretty neat. He combined pretty well with anyone. Left and right. Like he did his best. I felt like this was one of those games. That's just my personal opinion. I agree that he didn't do our system, our shape much favors, but that was just, in my opinion, what Carlo tasked him to do. For today, which clearly didn't, like you mentioned, give us any leeway for controlling the game. Um, yeah, another thing I would like to bring up, right, is the fact that we just couldn't control Betis the way we wanted to, right? More often than not, the turnover of possession was basically Betis players taking an extra touch, right? Taking a bit longer than you would ideally like to, in a game of such high tempo. Mo, do you think that our press was off as well today? Because I felt like we just lacked that extra oomph, and I have no idea. Because I saw for once Fede did his best. He was everywhere. He tried sweeping up for Lucas. He tried sweeping up for Cruz. He some of his diagonals were on point tonight. But I just felt like we struggled to contain Betis the way we wanted to.
Yeah, I would present an alternative hypothesis to that. I think a lot of times Betis won the ball from edge and went attacked us was because they were into transitions. We were making a lot of missed passes. So that brings me back to the point that I made originally, like when we were talking about our initial reactions. It was, I'm not sure like what the condition of our players was coming into the game, because although they had 1 week of a gap, but they weren't probably in the best of their condition, because today I saw Cruz give away a lot of balls, and that doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of missed passes, and Betis were winning balls in areas that normally Real Madrid don't lose ball in. So I think that definitely hurt us. And yeah, you definitely have a point when you say the fact that probably our pressing wasn't to the level that it usually is, because I think especially when we have had this young midfield of Jude Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde, all these guys playing, even when bring in Cruz, it has been pretty on point. We have, I think, our defense has been held by the fact that we haven't allowed as many chances as we used to before. I think, when we look at the advanced numbers, we're probably the second best defense. When you look at pure numbers, we're probably the best defense. So I think that definitely helped us this season. It wasn't there today. So, it just brings me back to the point I'm making. I'm not sure like what kind of condition our players were in today, although we had a 1 week break.
Carvajal, I think, is also a great trigger down the right. He basically is our reference point.
Yeah, definitely. That's a point too. Carvajal has the ability to occupy spaces where he makes himself available for passes. Lucas, for all his quality, doesn't really have those that ability. So it hurt us as well, I think.
100%. Let's get into a few of the comments. Tasaliba was mentioning, let's not forget that Betis goal was probably goal of the season. Ashi was mentioning we were also lucky not to come out with a loss. That late chance by Isco could have gone in, missed by inches. The match was lifeless, though. It wasn't a very exciting match, but both goals were solid. The goal is one of those where there's not much you can do about it. We all chipped in the group chat that it was something that you really can't prepare your goalkeeper for. Although I feel like Alaba should have done better. Should have done try to do a bit more closing him down. Tracking back Rodrigo. I know it's not his primary job, but yeah, like when shit hits the fan, you can you can throw blame at everyone inside, but yeah, I felt like as a team, we were just caught out,
I mean, apparently we
big
can't throw
time.
the blame at everyone because you missed out the guy who gave the ball away.
Yeah, I mean, bro, turnover of possession happens countless times. How many times does it happen throughout the 90?
But I think it's a pretty bad pass.
You could say that, but I'm pretty sure that we as a team should defend crosses in for once outside the area, shots in for the second, better. That has always been the narrative. But when the placement is so good, Lunin, who had a great night, I felt gutted for him because he did his absolute best from the minute one to keep us in the game. He had some excellent shots. Without further ado, I would like to come to you, Farouk, man. Lunin really, really has made a claim, a very strong claim, that he should remain our number one between the posts.
I'm
No?
not too sold. Like the point is like it's like so the argument with Lunin and Kepa is like I actually don't understand where it comes from, because for me, like, I just don't see really much difference between the two of them. The only big difference I can say is that, for example, today you could see like Lunin, has a lot of control when it comes to like crosses into the box and aerial play. But honestly, like, I don't really see a lot of difference between the two of them. Like, at least for me, maybe there is something different there. But like, I mean, if I was a betting man, I would not bet on either of them starting any games, because like there is basically no difference in my opinion. But if this is what Carlo wants to keep doing, rotating after one after the other, I don't know what he is doing or not. But he said he was going to start this and then later changed his comment again. And then I think after the game as well, again, he said he doesn't know who's going to start. But it's going to be interesting to see. But one thing for sure is I just want them to decide a first choice and let it be. If it's Lunin, it's Lunin. I'm fine with that. If it's Kepa, it's Kepa. I'm fine with that, because both of them is not someone that gives me confidence, I said it, like, Kepa has surprised me, obviously. Lunin also has surprised me, but right now it's just like choosing between, the lesser.
So it's neck and neck for now.
Exactly. It's, in my opinion, like, whoever of them is selected, like, it's fine by me. Just, I don't want a situation where you're switching, week in, week out, or after every 2 games or something like this.
I'll be honest, like I mentioned in the chat, Carlos should have watched what Sid did, speaking to fans outside the Bernabeu a couple of days ago. He should have watched it, and people were very adamant that Lunin really, deserves his flowers, for biding his chance, biding his time to, get back into the equation. But same question, Jacob.
Yeah.
Has anything changed in a week?
For me, it's not just about the form of Lunin. We have to consider that Lunin has been here. He has been the second man for a long time, and this was his time to shine, right? And then we brought in Kepa because we weren't confident about Lunin. But when Lunin is performing this great, he is one of us, and he's probably like our future if he stays, right? And just to give Kepa the chance, if for some player who can leave in the next season. That is not fair to Lunin for me. That's why I feel like Lunin should start when his form is like really great, or as comparable as Kepa.
Mo, to round it up.
Yeah, I think we had this discussion last week as well. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on being a very persuasive arguer for convincing Ancelotti, because he's obviously watching our podcast, giving Lunin a chance. But yeah, last week I said that if it was up to me, I wouldn't have brought in Kepa at all. I would probably have stuck with Lunin. But the thing is, this past week I've been actually looking at the stats and comparing the two, because for some reason, there isn't really a good comparison between the two out there. So from what I've seen, like this season at least, Lunin, although he had the amount of data available for Lunin is low, because he hasn't played that much compared to Kepa. But when it comes to advanced stats, his advanced stats are much better than Kepa's. His ability to stop goals has been better than Kepa's this season. And then you add in the obvious thing that you see in the eye test, which is like Lunin.
That's my thing.
Lunin is better in controlling aerial plays. So for me, I think I would definitely have gone with Lunin. I said that before as well. If it was up to me, Lunin would have been the starter this season. But then I understand why Ancelotti and co brought in Kepa, because while looking those stats, I also looked at last season. Lunin was horrible last season, with the amount of goals that he allowed in at the Club World Cup.
He had a few iffy moments this season as well towards the beginning.
Yeah,
if you
in the
guys remember.
preseason, yeah. So I think, last season Club World Cup and then the game against Girona, I think that it was the game against Girona that essentially sentenced Lunin in the eyes of the coaching staff. So now we see the season that his performances have been pretty good. So I guess we have to give it to the coaching staff for not holding a grudge and giving him a shot at continuing. So let's see what happens. For me, I have a gut feeling that probably he's going to stick with Lunin for the time being because he's been performing and he hasn't really given him a reason to drop him. But I hope I'm not wrong because I would like Lunin to continue. And Lunin is somebody who comes back by the board, And like Jacob rightly pointed out, Kepa is although I disagree when he says Kepa is one of us, Kepa is definitely one of us for this season. But it's a fair point that he might not be here next year, so it's probably best to continue with Lunin.
Great
to you guys.
point.
Are you guys basically saying let Lunin continue until he shows that he's not worthy of the position or what?
Absolutely, that's my feeling.
This is now the problem. If you're putting it like this, then
I knew Farooq was going this way when he asked the question.
So then it goes back to the point that Lunin makes a mistake or makes a couple of mistakes and then he's thrown out. Kepa comes back in, has a good game, then makes a couple of mistakes, then he's thrown out, and then it keeps becoming a Russian roulette basically. So the point is, you have to have a goalkeeper and stick to him. This is the
Farooq. Yeah. Okay. Let me.
I'm not arguing that Lunin or Kepa. I said for me, both of them is just I will just only pray to God and hope for the best for both of them. But just the point is that we need to have one person in goal. That confidence continuity is important.
You asked a good question. You said that if a player makes one or two mistakes, are you gonna ditch him for Kepa? But that's the point, right? I think Jacob also made this point. I think Kepa, Lunin is our player, right? He's going. Although we thought that he had a contract that ends this year, recent news have come out that he has an extension signed, so he's probably going to be here until 2025. So Lunin is somebody who you can be guaranteed that he's going to be here in the long term as long as he gets opportunities. So I think sticking with Lunin, even if he makes a couple of mistakes, given the kind of form that he has shown so far, isn't a bad idea. The way
it's a good investment, right?
Yeah.
No, that's
that's the thing. And with Kepa, we have these obvious weaknesses that he's not going to improve. He's already 30, right? So we know what Kepa is. He is an inferior version of Casillas, if I may say so. He struggles with crosses, he struggles with long shots. And I guess Atleti, we saw how big teams can exploit those weaknesses. With Kepa, okay, you are right to the point that there might not be a huge difference between the two when we probably get a huge amount of data for Lunin as well. So, but the thing is, Lunin has one obvious advantage over Kepa is the fact that he knows how to control the air. He knows how to control the box in his aerial encounters. So that for me, propels Lunin past Kepa.
This is going to be a discussion that we're going to be having throughout the entire season. I feel like because there's going to be games where we feel like Lunin did fuck up a couple of times, but I'm telling you, man, when Kepa's in goal, I don't feel safe.
I think that's the point. It's like if he makes a few mistakes, we shouldn't be getting onto his head unless and until there's something obvious, Lunin is playing extremely bad. I don't really think he should lose the spot. But knowing Ancelotti and the fact that they gave promises to Kepa for starting position, I'm not sure what will happen.
Because we are in three. Ancelotti is making rhetoric which is very similar to what Arteta is making. Last season, Ramsdale was basically fantastic. Right now, Ramsdale cannot catch even a simple header to his to his hand. Because why every week it's Raya, today, tomorrow it's Ramsdale, the next day it's Raya, the next day it's Ramsdale. We saw this even in the past. When Guardiola came to Man City, he had Claudio Bravo and I think Joe Hart as well. They were switching. We saw this with Marc-Andre ter Stegen and Claudio Bravo again at Barcelona. Even we saw this with Thibaut Courtois and Keylor Navas as well. Even until and unless you have just that one person that this is my goalkeeper. If the house burns down, it burns down. It's my decision, I make it. But the point is if every week we're gonna keep playing the doubt game, I think it's unfair to both goalkeepers as well. This is just my opinion. It doesn't matter if it's Lunin, if it's Kepa. Just we have to find one person and stick to that person.
Yeah, Farooq, I totally agree with what you're saying. All I'm saying is that Lunin should be the guy for Ancelotti to start for Real Madrid. Because as it is, next season it's probably going to be Courtois starting, and if Courtois is fit enough to come towards the end of the season, Ancelotti is not going to play either of Kepa or Lunin. He's going to go back to Courtois. So I think it's just one season, and probably for me, I think investing in Lunin is a better idea.
I think the club is very self-aware of where Kepa's contract, and his whole situation with the loan stands. Because as much as we slate Joselu sometimes, we know that he is a good option, plan B, option B, which is why I think some of the media outlets has been very keen to report that he has a very high likelihood of re-signing for a permanent deal and blah 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 and whatnot. But you don't hear the same about Kepa. It's for a reason. Because do you think that Kepa is gonna sit quietly behind Thibaut for the entire season, just playing in the Super Cup and the Copa del Rey? I don't think so. So I think the club is very well self-aware of what their priorities are, and I think that's what Carlo had a sudden. That's why Carlo had a sudden change of mind, a couple of days ago in the press conference as well, that he felt, I think, an inclination from the board that we must, which is the right thing to do. Come on, guys, Lunin, he deserves his time. I feel so happy for him. I mean, it is purely based on meritocracy, that where I stand with my feelings towards him. But I'm telling you, as a casual, when I turn on the TV and watch the game, bro, when he is between the posts, I feel so much more calm about what's happening. But Mo is cracking a smile. I have no idea why.
No, man, I just sometimes the way he talks is like he just gladdens the person who's listening, their heart, just because this guy has a way with his words.
No. I'm just speaking for the average fan, man. I'm an average fan. I'm no super fan. Like what how people are dressed in the UK. Just your average Madridista, man. Like for me, I'm telling you, I feel more comfortable with Lunin. But I tell you, there's going to be so many more debates regarding this throughout the season. But moving on to some much more pressing issues, right? I wouldn't say those were issues, but how can you put it? Alaba again. Do you guys think that he had a good game? Jacob, I'll come to you, man. Rudiger, yes, he has been phenomenal. Again, even tonight he did look really good. Alaba, still rusty?
I wouldn't say like today was a game where you could call him rusty, especially in the second half. He had that goal-saving tackle, to save the shot against Bayo. Apart from that, I feel like his distribution, a long pass especially, was a bit lacking today. But otherwise, he didn't put too many mistakes, man. I don't feel that chances that we conceded was just the whole team, being shitty at defense.
Fair. That's what I felt as well. The reason why I posed this question was, like you just mentioned, Alaba's ball playing abilities is what sets him apart from your average centre back, and I felt like it wasn't on display again, man. Like, when we all know that Alaba is not the greatest defender, but yeah, I appreciate his last-ditch tackles. He has a knack for them. I'm not gonna lie, he does have a way about those. But yeah, I felt like he could have done so much more, helping us, transition the ball up the pitch a bit quicker, a bit better. Moving on. Defenders, fella Mendy again. Like, I don't want to discuss about this too much. We all know that nobody really gives him enough credit, but I felt like Mendy had another good performance. I don't know who wants to chip in. I don't want to hear any negative comments about Mendy, so I don't know who to come to. Right, Farouk, I'm not sure where he really stands yet. He's 50-50 basically, but I'll still come to you, Farouk. Mendy, decent performance. Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone knows what I always feel about Mendy, man. Even, anyways, okay, let's just have positivity tonight.
Regarding him, I feel like he has been very good.
Yes, tonight I sent some positivity to Farouk, sir.
Mendy, he deserves his flowers, even. Like, he has been slowly getting back to his best. I like that about him. We need that stability down our left, and the way he really aids whoever he's combining with. Sometimes it's Brahim. Today was Luka. Sometimes, obviously Cruz, Bellingham. He just facilitates an outlet to, drive our team forward down the left, man. And we have all had our, our slating, seasons with Mendy where we think he's just incapable of doing a job down the left, especially in the final phase. But the more I see of him this season, I feel like he can really contribute so much more than we give him credit for. But
And
yeah,
also, man, like, that's the thing. Like, I just felt like today there were passes that could have been made that were not made because there was no one overlapping. This is the thing, and what's going to overlap? It's Mendy. This is just what I think, because the point is Lucas Vazquez is out. Dani Carvajal is out.
yeah,
I'm not expecting too much from Lucas Vazquez. Just be there and just be a body and let get through the stuff. And I expect like Mendy's to step up and at least be that outlet for that passes. To at least cease to give the defense a different kind of headache. But I just feel like that's lacking, man. I totally get what you're saying, that in the fact that in certain games this season we've seen certain combinations happen, but just in the game earlier today, I just didn't see that. Understand? That was one thing that came to me, is that we still definitely need fullbacks. The absence of Carvalho showed us how important fullbacks are. One of the main reasons why no chances were created, as Mo pointed out, was the absence of Carvalho. That long diagonal from Cruz to Carvalho gives, because when you focus on the left, Carvalho is on the right, acres of space. Cruz makes the diagonal, it goes there. One cutback or a crossing, it's a chance. But today, like, I think you mentioned, Tassaliba was saying Modric was with the ball, he was looking up and there was no one. You understand? So like, we need someone, like, when we don't have a striker on the team, we like Rodrigo, whether you like it or not, we always like to drift inside. He's not gonna hog the touchline as he would love to. There is no one in the center. We need those fullbacks to make those runs. And in my opinion, I don't know, man. Like, I always say this, like, Mendy, when in form, he's the best defensive fullback, but the offensive is, leaves a lot to be desired. Understand? Today was just another key example, in my opinion.
I don't know, man. Like, again, this is me.
If I may add to what Farouk said, I kind of do agree with him. Farouk's negativity has come to me. So I think the fact that Ferdinand Mendy, I think Farouk pointed out about his overlaps. I would also like to point out his underlaps, because whenever Ferdinand Mendy was into the half space and getting inside the box, he lacks the ability to play that ball. Till Karim was here, he had this ability to get the best out of Benzema, but without him, the way it is, like, okay, imagine this situation. You have a Bellingham, maybe Rodrigo and Mendy combining around the box. As soon as the ball goes to Mendy, the ball isn't coming inside the box. He's probably going to pass it outside towards the line, whoever is nearest to him. So I think that's something that he lacks incredibly. And I think but the situation is, like, we already know he doesn't have that in him. And the teams that are playing against us also know that he doesn't have it in him. So I think we had the discussion before as well. I think Camavinga does, like, if everybody is fit, I think Camavinga should be starting at left back in the big games. And I think that's a situation that, even holds true today. Although, on form, Mendy is a beast defensively. For me, I would just like to ask you guys one question. The only guy who's been linked with, as a new fullback is Alphonso Davies. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really watch Bundesliga a lot. But do you guys think he has the ability to run inside the box, underlap? Because Vinny likes playing outside, and Vinny is going to be a left winger. So does Alphonso Davies have the ability to underlap, get inside the box, and play those cutbacks that Carvajal does?
No.
So
Simple answer, no.
What is Alfonso good at then?
Going out wide, going past people, out wide, whipping in crosses, whipping in nice cutbacks. He can take on a man. I'm pretty sure. He was a winger, so he can take on a man, beat him. But underlapping, being positionally intelligent. See, I'm not a big Bundesliga guy, right?
Doesn't Alfonso play as a striker sometimes for Canada?
No,
he does.
He started as a left winger.
Left winger. Okay.
I think he has played as a striker or a false nine sometimes for Canada. But I don't think he is exceptionally adept. Like, Farouk, if you want to chip in, if you do have anything to chip in regarding his time at Bayern.
Nah, man. I mean, based on I don't watch Bayern that much, but every game I see, like, honestly, like, as you definitely said, like, he's just a winger playing a fullback position, like, he's just a two-way fullback. Honestly, I don't see.
He's a better Fran Garcia. Simple as.
I'm sorry.
Better Fran Garcia.
I mean, even I am a better fan to some extent. So
Oh my god.
I mean, come on, Farooq. That you've done Fran Garcia dirty.
yeah, that sounded too harsh. I apologize. I think that.
Oh,
Well, I think actually, you know what I
Farooq is giving himself too much credit for Nigerian grassroots football, which I'm not an advocate for. I'm not going to have any of that.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
Farooq had said, if Farooq had said I'm a better centre back than all these players, then I would have agreed, But fullback,
That's also true. Because, yeah, centre back, especially given his height, yeah. You have a point. You have a point. But go on, Farooq.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, like the position that, the role that Mo is actually talking about right now, like, it's something that we're seeing, a lot of fullbacks are being asked to develop into this situation. So I think, because, for example, you look at, for example, Trent with Liverpool, like, basically he's playing as a midfielder right now. So it's something that I feel like you develop a system and you coach a player towards that. It's not like, like a player becomes this overnight. So I feel like even with players like Alphonso Davies, you can still buy them. But the point is, you buy this player and give it to Carlo Ancelotti, you're looking just as a number 7 playing, as a fullback. You need, a coach that's able to coach these players and instill certain ideas into them. It's not like Carlo doesn't have these ideas anymore, but the point is that he's a relic. He's an old man, whether you like it or not. The same way Mo is talking about the fact that
Farooq, sorry to interrupt you.
He's won all these things, He's not going to start changing at this point in time.
Bro, don't you think Kamavinga is deployed in an inverted position because he excels at it, because he understands his role? He knows how to interpret spaces better than your average overlapping fullback.
Yeah,
so Carlo does what he has,
that's true.
on his cards.
The point is, like, Carlo wasn't the pioneer of this as well.
He wasn't,
someone
but
started this and Carlo came and there was no fullback. He was like, oh yeah, but someone tried this in France, right? Let's also repeat it.
Man, this guy. I don't know what to say to that. Mo, back me up. Honestly.
At this point, I have to give in to Farooq. This is the moments why I like, being on the show with Farooq, because there's always a moment where Farooq is going to teach you something.
I'm just flabbergasted. Like, what the fuck are you going to say that he stole someone's idea? Man, bro, this is not plagiarism, right? Like, we are trying to implement an age-old idea. Like, even the great Italian sides of the 70s, they played an inverted fullback, although being 3 at the back. I mean, this has been always in the equation, but you have to give Carlo credit for he does deal with players who are good at stuff.
So the thing is, like, I give not Farooq, I give Ancelotti the credit, for being able to adapt to his players' qualities and creating a formation out of it. What I don't give Ancelotti credit is for, pioneering not something out of nothing, because as Farooq rightly pointed out, it wasn't Ancelotti who decided, Kamavinga is going to be a brilliant fullback. It was Didier Deschamps for all his fault. So the thing is, like, for me, I'm going to go on a tangent again. I think the perfect fullback for Real Madrid is Miguel. He should be the one who should be brought in, not Alphonso Davies. But, the way it is, Alphonso is the, I don't know, big money signing, so he's going to come in and whatever. But the way I look at it, Alphonso Davies, if he comes back, he's probably going to fare a little bit better than Fran Garcia is. Because Fran Garcia last year, if you look at his numbers, they were brilliant. He was like carrying the ball into opponent thirds. He was dribbling. All his stats were incredible. Everybody was salivating at the idea of having Vinicius and Fran combined together on the left flank. But at the end of the day, we see what the result is. Vinny and Fran are occupying the same areas, so you're not getting anywhere. With Alfonso, although I haven't watched him like a lot, but I do share some of the ideas that you guys have. That he is a winger who converted into a fullback, and he's good at dribbling, carrying the ball, and all those things. But when it comes to playing inside the box, I'm not sure of his abilities, because I don't really watch Bundesliga. So that is why I asked you guys. And from what I'm hearing from you guys, I'm not really enthused. The thing is, like Miguel, he excels at these situations. So I don't really know what Real Madrid is doing, going for Alphonso Davies instead of bringing Miguel back. And the thing is, like, even if you bring him back, you don't really have to start him because you have Kamavinga. You can stick with him as a starter and have Miguel back him up. You don't really need to buy a starting fullback for the left position.
Miguel, I'm gonna agree with you that I wasn't really keen on him, but the moment that I actually started paying more attention to how Girona sets up and how they take full advantage of his Arsenal. He is a force to be reckoned with. Both
and he's
ways.
recently been linked with Arsenal, so.
Well, I hope he does well, man. Like, what else can I say? But I'll tell you this. Whenever I've seen Miguel Gutierrez, like, he can do a job, going, forward and in defense as well. Like, he's pretty adept. But yeah, like, even I really can't answer why we aren't really looking into it. Maybe probably because he's
No, the thing is,
bought
like, the
himself
way
into.
I look at it, Real Madrid's fullback solutions both lie at Girona. You bring in Arnau for right back, you bring in Miguel for left back, and you're done with it. Although I like Fresneda, but not many people do seem to share my ideas. So I'm willing to concede. Just bring in Arnau, just bring in Miguel, and be done with it.
I don't know. He's your okay. Like, I hate to put it this way. I'm glad that he is in the mud for the moment. I know he'll be back up anytime, but
I mean,
he is the puff. Yeah, I know. I'm just completing my point on how he is the perfect Pep Guardiola wing back, that he is 6 foot. He is good in the air. He has a physical presence, which is not often seen in wing backs. So I just hope that like, even if we bring someone, it should be clearly an upgrade. Like, it shouldn't be someone like Fran, who is just us firing shots in the dark and hoping to land something that's going to help us. I know we need to give young players time to settle in.
I look at Sunil, if Arnau, if he comes back, he's going to be an upgrade on Lucas, right, for the secondary fullback position.
100%.
And he has shown the ability to play at La Liga's level at least. And he's only 20, so he's only going to improve. And I think he's a Spanish under 20 international and 21 international. So the way I look at it, I think he could be a decent shout. But yeah, I think right back discussion totally is separate. Left back discussion, for me, I'm going to manifest this. If you guys support me, Miguel should be coming back to Real Madrid.
The more I see of him, I'm going to say the same thing. I back it completely. But I don't know, Jacob, like, would someone who is 20 sacrifice his minutes, sacrifices playing time, sacrifices development time behind one of the best right backs, let's be honest, in Europe, Danny Carvajal?
I think if he comes, he just has to do that for one season, right? Carvajal is, like it or not, he's going...
One season, that's it? Oh, God. So. Okay.
I definitely feel so. And then it's going to be pretty much like them sharing the minutes in the next season after that.
And I think Carvajal's contract is in 25.
Let's not forget, even Carvajal did this as well. He came back, from Leverkusen, and then he played behind Arbeloa for a year, or like they shared minutes, and then eventually he became the starter. So I think it's a very right point. Carvajal might be what he is, but the point is, age is not on his time, and whether you like it or not, like Real Madrid is not a club where you come and retire, like you just get kicked out of the door before you start to decline. So that's the thing as well.
Right.
So Farouk can be hard sometimes.
The way he frames sentences is just too blunt. Blunt. Just
when I listen to Farouk, I think this guy is a personification of Real Madrid boat. No empathy at all, just like
no soft spot, no nothing. No gracias. No amigos. It's just bloody fucking corporate decisions, man. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. There should be a balance in the panel as well. Like, if every one of you were like me, then what's the fucking point, right? Hassan was in the chat. He was saying, I'll give him his credit. He stayed fit and performing well now. He still needs to be shipped to Shanghai in the summer. I think he's talking about Mendy, but it's harsh again. Hassan was saying, Lucas Vazquez is just a Spanish Nico Omilana. How I managed to bamboozle a contract at the biggest club in the world. I don't know who that is. I really can't.
He's a YouTuber. He's a prankster.
Really? Okay. Right. Ashik was saying, worry not at all. We get Davis on left back next season and Wirtz as striker. Yeah, Wirtz, I don't know, man. It's gonna take.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know Bellingham was a striker. Probably now Wirtz is also gonna be a striker.
Yeah,
Farouk, these Bundesliga guys, I don't really know why they're playing these strikers at camps.
It's the inversion, right? Like, Wirtz is gonna be one hell of a sight to behold, because man, he's what, like 5'7", right? 5'6" or something.
I don't know, man. After what Bellingham has gone into, like, we always looked at Bellingham as a midfielder. Now he suddenly comes out and he's like, yeah, this guy's a pseudo striker. So I can't really argue when somebody says that this
Bro,
guy's
he has the
looking at it
physical
as a striker.
attributes to be a striker, right? Bellingham, he's 6'1" or something.
6'3".
Has the 6'3". Yeah, there you go. So man, like he has some height to him. So what's I don't know. I really don't know.
Nah,
but then
I'm
again,
not- my situation, I'm not going to argue with anybody.
Rajat was saying Hope Fernandez is going to leave the club. He is what, 32 or 33? Man, too harsh again. We need Nacho.
Who?
Telling you,
Nacho.
Nacho.
I
That's
would
too
have actually
harsh.
wanted Nacho to start today. I don't know, instead of Lucas.
Down the right, yeah, it would have really solidified us a bit more, 100%. Ashi was saying Reece James is coming in as right back as well. Reece James, bro. Some of the recent games I watched of him, I don't know what's gotten into him. Not the same
forget
player.
about Reece James and everything. How many games has Reece James played in the last 18 months?
Yeah, simple as.
We
You
had
can count it on one hand.
Issue with Mendy. I want Reece James 100%, but the point is you don't want to pay, for someone who's gonna be like, every time it's like, comunicado official, he's in wherever he is.
Yeah, the injuries are parte medico, not comunicado. But the thing is, like, we had this chat today, right? Reece James has all the injuries of Carvalho without the performances. So.
Yeah, that was a very good, valid point by you, right? You made it. You made the point. But yeah, stop praising yourself, okay? We do not appreciate that. But yeah,
and Farouk is gonna rub off on me. So.
Oh yeah, I think you have a point. Ashi was saying we are going to sign Davis, Reece James, Wirtz, Mbappe in the summer, only to see them play for someone other than us. We are signing no one. Don't need any more signings. Remember, right? Yeah. Telling you, especially with the Super Copa and the South in Saudi Arabia, our depth is going to be truly tested. Rajat was saying, can we bring Enzo next year? He looks good.
Really? That's a big deal.
Who's Enzo?
Yeah, who's Enzo? That's the actual. Is it Enzo Ferrari? Enzo Zidane. Bro, I saw him against United. Yeah, like you saw United lost 3-0 or 4-0. I'm not sure. Sid,
3-0.
Sid was messaging me. Like he was watching two games and he was just wasting his time. Both us and United, it was just absolutely shambolic. But the way that I look at things, Enzo, he has the quality. He has all the the perfect skill set to make him really good. A 6 or an 8. He's pretty flexible. Like he has IQ. I would put it that way. He has the IQ to be a top level footballer, but in execution, he just looks bang average. I have no idea. Like Chelsea has this tendency to make everyone look pretty average. Maybe that's the reason why. But Enzo for us, nah, man.
And Farouk, you should
I
be
don't say.
talking to Osimhen now. Not going to Chelsea.
I mean,
He must be seeing this. He's a grown man. He should know, right, Farouk?
I mean, Farouk needs to, whisper some sweet nothings into his ear.
I want him to go to Chelsea ahead of Arsenal because I think if Osimhen goes to Arsenal, like Arsenal wins the league hands down 100%. Like so, I prefer him to go to Chelsea. But I think I think Chelsea will come good. Honestly, I do see like there are flashes there, but the problem is that like they overpaid for every fucking person. This is the problem. They have paid
Medrick, yeah,
everyone.
100 million.
Okay, maybe other than Jackson, I think Jackson might be the only one person they actually paid the right price for. But every other person they have overpaid for them. So this is the issue actually. So it's really difficult. When you put that much money in, it's really difficult to have patience or what is the lack thereof. But Chelsea will count good actually because you can see the flashes there. You can, and that's the thing actually. That's the problem I always have. In basically 2 months, Pochettino has Chelsea playing in the way he wants to play. Albeit it's garbage. There is no output. It's fine. We can see this. How the hell can we be here after 2.5 years? We still are just playing based on individual brilliance. Friendship FC. That's what I don't understand. Honestly, it doesn't take a lot. Come on, like even the guy who comes from Australia does it with Spurs. That's basically horseshit in how many weeks? Like, come on, like. Anyways, man.
Yeah.
That's just my
Yeah, no, it's not really a problem. But Hassan was
Or
mentioning,
to be
Dave.
Farouk, or to be Farouk.
Hassan was mentioning Davis has been stinky at Bayern. A lot of the fans says he hasn't really improved over the last year or so. Um,
I've
Ashik,
heard that as well about
mm,
Davis. But
mm.
I don't watch Bayern, so I can't really say anything.
But I know one thing for a fact that, man, like if Mendy is 6 going forward, no, 5 going forward and 7 attacking, Davis is 8 attacking and 4 at best defending, because his pace bails him out. But yeah, the way he anticipates danger is just, man, not good enough. Just because he's a winger, like you can't expect him to be fucking Maldini. It's understandable. But yeah, Ashik was saying Reece James needs to lay off the Reese's pieces, then he'll be fine. That's funny. That's funny. This man, he's just violating people. Um, Right. Hassan was also saying Enzo is facing a life sentence without parole at Chelsea. He ain't getting out of there anytime soon. I completely forgot that he has a 9-year contract. That's just bonkers. Like, imagine being on a 9-year contract. Like, what are you supposed to do? But moving on to some of our, better performers, Brahim Diaz, another bright outing, at least in my opinion. He tried his level best. Jacob, again, another performance that, kind of makes you think that he's gonna come good, come clutch later third of the season, where we need someone, especially off the bench.
Yeah, I think this game does not inspire me with too much confidence that he can actually start and get us a lot of goals in the coming games, because he was so isolated, and if he doesn't have Carvajal to back him up on that right hand side, he just doesn't have answers. People can double team him and then take him out of the game. But overall, yeah, I feel like he was the second best attacker today compared to Rodrigo.
Mo, anything to add? Brahim Diaz?
I think the thing about today's game was the fact that everybody in their self played well, but when we put it all together, it somehow still managed to be subtracted. The thing is, like, if everybody was like performing at 10 out of 10, we didn't really get 100. We instead ended up getting 50 or 60. If we had the right tactics, we had potential. If you have 2 players playing 10 and 10, you get 100. But the thing is, like, this game, the tactics and the whole way we planned the game was like pretty bad. So even though players individually might not have been bad, overall, I wasn't really impressed with the team today.
Farouk, Brahim?
Yeah, man, like Brahim honestly has, really stepped up the game and, just proved to us that, like, he is someone that we can call upon when needed, and he continued the form today. Honestly, he was lively trying to create something here and there, and yeah, fortunately, he got the assist for the Bellingham goal.
We can all agree that, start of the season, we didn't expect, him to get much of a say. Like I mentioned it in the Granada post game as well. We never really gave him a chance, but I think that, we should appreciate what he's doing, especially, his understanding with some of our key players has led to some really decent, actions, in the final third, which I didn't expect. I always felt like he would struggle to really impose himself, but I feel the more that he, gets a start, the more better the team is, able to trust him, the more the team is relying on him to, provide that bit of magic.
Okay, I'm going to ask you guys one question, right? Because we are talking about Brahim. With the amount of long shots gotten today, did any of you guys thought that, maybe if Asensio was here today, he probably digs a goal?
With Asensio, you can't really say anything definite.
But we had a lot of long chances.
The keeper was also looking very secure, man. I feel like he was pretty secure today, and he would have probably stopped a lot of those. It would have taken something really special.
Rui Silva, I don't really rate him, although I do agree that he had a solid game. Asensio is one of those players, man. He could just produce that, and you'll be like, yeah.
You definitely will have a solid game if you're not being challenged. That's the whole base of it, Without being challenged, like, there is nothing to save. So, like, you can have a poor game if you're not being challenged, We basically had nothing, but I think it's a good shot, like, Asensio's left foot. But again, it goes back to the how much Brahim has grown on us, because I think no one, at least I haven't seen anyone mention Asensio. Because the point is, Brahim basically replaced Asensio in the squad, and honestly, like since when he's been called upon, he's basically done all what's been expected of him. So I think that's even more credit to Brahim that he's made us totally forget about Asensio and his left footers.
Mm. Who is howling in the background? Like, is it at Jacob's place? Do you have girls over, Jacob?
Oh man, I feel like there's some kind of party going on next door, but
Right.
it's just Google Meet
Weren't you
speaking about-
invited?
Did you see the sly smile?
I think he have chicks over, man. But yeah, we'll wrap it up quickly so that he can tend to some of his duties. But yeah, man, Jacob, bear with us, please. Yeah. Ashik was saying Kubo scores again while Guler's on the doctor's table. Hopefully, early 2024 we get to see Guler. High time.
think
Any
he'll be back
updates?
next week.
2024? Is he that out again? Is he out for that long again? I thought he was going to be back in December.
No, I think the club is taking-
He could potentially be back next week.
Really? Yeah. But
We
I
play
thought that the
Villarreal
club
next
is
week, right? Just to clarify.
Yeah, next weekend. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's the game they were saying.
But
Villarreal, Chouameni.
the
and
lack of news
Guler
just
are-
makes me feel like the club is being extra cautious again.
I mean,
might-
the news
might
is
get
there.
delayed again.
They already said that it's a possibility that both Chouameni and Guler could be back for Villarreal.
Mm.
Oh,
That'll be a
Tchouameni as
boost.
well. That's great news then. That's
Yeah.
great news.
I have seen Guler training on the pitch. It's like he's training.
Yeah, I did see that as well.
So that kind of inspires confidence. But
But wasn't he trailing alone more?
now he's training alone, but he's training in football boots. So that's something.
And Ancelotti said this coming week they're gonna get Guler training back with the team, and then he's gonna train harder as well, so to get ready.
I think he said yesterday that he's already been training at a high intensity or something. So yeah, if he's joining next week, then yeah, potentially could be back for Villarreal.
If that happens, I just hope he doesn't get more than 5 minutes. That's all I want to see. Him stepping on the pitch, couple of neat layoffs. That's it. Back in the bubble wrap.
Yeah. So it doesn't ask for much, man. Just 5 minutes of Guler and his life will be fulfilled.
Honestly, because at this point, man, his relapses of injuries has really gotten me worried, especially considering his age. It doesn't look great, but I hope he can bounce back strong. Who else should we discuss? Cruz again. Who should I come to more? In the pivot,
I think
familiar
Cruz-
territory.
Cruz is brilliant, but then that's the whole thing is this, right?
Mm.
Yeah, everybody had a decent game in themselves, but when the result isn't there, there's no point in praising anybody because we didn't really get what we wanted.
I just feel like tonight. I know tactically we just bang on about it, but I don't know. Some of the chances, I like, even though it was a half chance.
Okay,
Probably
let
a
me just put it this way: if I
bit
was
of
to
luck.
highlight players as being good, Cruz isn't the first person I would highlight for today because I think he misplays a lot of passes compared to what he does on the average. For me, the players who were pretty decent today was the fact that Rodrigo was taken. He completely tore down Eto Rubial whenever he took him on, and then there was Jude Bellingham. But Jude was incredible. Even like when we weren't really creating anything, he was the only one who was getting passes into the box. Creating chances out of nothing. So apart from these two guys, and when you look into defense, like already pointed out, Mendy, Rudiger, those guys were brilliant. And then as Jacob pointed out about Alaba, his tackle on Asane Diao, that was pretty game saving. So I think these guys were the ones who stood out. Apart from that, I don't really think anybody had a game that you could like to say too much about.
Valverde had a really
Valverde
good
as well.
game
Valverde
as
as well.
Fede. We talked about Fede. Rodrigo, yeah, I didn't talk much about my boy, but he's truly back, isn't it? Like we can all agree on the fact that he has completely turned the season around from where we thought he would, go down. Especially determination, his confidence, his instinct for where to which avenues to go down to, like that was all clearly lacking. We could see the wires in the circuit board was completely off. If you look a month and a half ago, it didn't look this fluid, and I'm loving this, man. Honestly, the Rodrigo detractors, they're all back in their caves, which is what I wanted, and it is happening. It's unfolding, in front of our very eyes, and I hope he can continue this because we need him. Especially with Vinny out. We need his initiative, because one thing we can all agree upon. One thing we can never slate Rodrigo is for hiding in games. He's the one man that I've seen in the last couple of years, no matter if it's going bad, if it's going good, if it's going neutral, not so good, not so bad, he just doesn't hide. Always asking for the ball, always making himself available, always making a run for a lost cause, pressing wise. I can't have many complaints about my boy Rodrigo. But yeah, Nico Paz, is there anything else to say? Was neat and tidy with his passing, tried to do something, but Lucas Vasquez, I would like to point out, I don't want to slate him. I've already mentioned that he wasn't really great, but one thing I really expect from Lucas Vasquez is his delivery, which was not on point. He tried a couple of neat crosses, but didn't really come off the way we wanted to, the way he wanted to. Who else? Danny Ceballos. I mean, I don't wanna say anything bad about him. I've shitted on him enough for the last 2.5 years. I should say that he's just not our level. We have to understand that he'll have a good, couple of games here and there, but you can't expect him to come on and make a difference. Like we discussed earlier, we really can't understand, where, Carlo got that instinct to bring him on. But let's talk about Isco Farouk. 1 year ago, we didn't expect him to, really end up somewhere that he can continue his legacy, especially in Spain. But Isco was bright, super bright.
Yeah, honestly, he was the second best player on the pitch, after Jude, in my opinion. He was definitely the second. If he had gotten that goal, he definitely would have been the MVP of the match. And he basically almost tried to force the situation, towards the end of the game, with the given goal that led to his header to the to the crossbar, and then you had the delivery he made, which led to the save by Lunin right at the dead end of the game. And I honestly Isco, I think, ran almost 11 kilometers today. That goes to show how much he's really bought into the project of Pellegrini at Real Betis, because if there's one thing that's always followed Isco throughout his life, is the fact that he's a lazy footballer. So running almost 11 kilometers in a game, I mean, come on, that's
his heat map was insane. I saw that.
Exactly. His heat map was insane. Honestly, there is nothing more to be said about Isco, man. The man is basically he's something else. He was a joy to watch at his pump, honestly, and today as well. It was just a reminder to see how brilliant this kind of footballers are, because they are rare breed. These are players that are a dying breed, honestly. Those players which this kind of that can get you this excited, honestly. And yeah, there is nothing to add, man. Honestly, one of the best players on the pitch today, just after Jude only.
Jacob, did we expect this from Isco when he left the club, especially in the fashion that he left after the Decimoquarta season, where he barely played? He looked like he had a chip on his shoulder, like he had a point to prove against us tonight.
Definitely. When he left, he was basically a washed-up player. Nobody wanted to sign him. And then with all of the shenanigans with Hertha Berlin, or Union Berlin, was it? And Sevilla as well.
Union Berlin.
We did not expect him to, have the season that he's having. I think it's now, if Bellingham wasn't on the pitch today, he would have gotten his 8th or 9th man of the match today. So that's the thing.
Mo, anything to chip in? Isco, Alcorcon.
Yeah, Alarcon.
Sorry, my bad.
For me, the thing is, I didn't really share this opinion about Isco being washed up, because I always knew he had the quality. What he lacked was consistency and belief. You have to see where he's performing. He has gone back to his roots. Under Manuel Pellegrini is where Isco first burst onto the scene,
Malaga.
And now he's gone back to Manuel Pellegrini again, and he's showing us the Isco of the old, the player that we all thought he would go on to become. He didn't really get a chance at Real Madrid because of Luka Cruz and Casemiro in midfield, and for ahead you go ahead, and then you have the BBC in his prime, and then but still he managed to push it on. And then, like you guys pointed out, there were some issues up with him and Solari and all those managers. So he didn't really his work rate, his work ethic didn't keep up at Real Madrid. But right now, under Pellegrini, he's recovered that. At Sevilla, he had that falling out with their management, and I believe it was with Monchi. So he had to leave that place. And then, like Jacob pointed out, his whatever happened between him and Union, that was pretty sad. But right now, so at Betis, he's just been incredible. And when Betis announced him, they put out a video. I don't know if you guys have watched it. It was essentially the Jon Snow coming back from the dead video being modified.
I haven't seen it.
What?
I think
That was basically
I think that's pretty
best
symbolic.
coming out video in the summer.
Yeah,
Did you see coming out video, Jacob? You should really watch what you say. I mean, that really doesn't sound right, does it?
Yeah.
But go on, Mo.
I mean that video was pretty symbolic, of his renaissance at Betis.
That's a coming on video, but yeah, Isco is nice, man. I'm super happy that I got to see, like Ashi was mentioning in the chat, Isco Disco, but unfortunately there was no Donna Summer playing. I just don't get some of his analogies, but I'm trying my best to digest some of them. But yeah, man, big up Ashik. Raja was saying he was looking like the vampire there at the touchline. I'm not sure who is Raja referring to, but yeah, Rudiger, good game. We have pretty much covered every base, I guess. This is a slight bump, like many of you guys in the chat mentioned. Still top. Barcelona against Girona tomorrow. Late night. I think it's the final game of Sunday. It's going to be a great watch. I'll be watching it on with keen interest, but I feel like a draw is on the cards. I really, really do feel like Barcelona doesn't have enough in them to beat them. If they do, like Mo said, we let them back into the race, and it's again back to square one. All that hard work we did, beating them in the Clásico. It's just deja vu, man. It's not as bad as last season, because last season we had the World Cup in the mix, so it was expected for us to, really have some hiccups here and there. But it's again deja vu. We did the hard work at home against Barcelona. This time it was even harder without Benzema, with so many key pieces missing. We did it the hard way at the Olympic Stadium. Bet them 2-1. Last gasp winner from Jude. Yet again, we look at ourselves in the mirror to blame, what could have been a 4.5 point cushion over Barcelona. Realistically, Girona is a team that's overperforming their ceiling. Let's be honest. Girona is not, your number one contender to win the title. It's just that they're having an incredible purple patch, which is bound to trail off. We all know that for a fact. The real enemies are in this equation are Atleti and Barcelona. And Barcelona, man, again, I would be really disappointed if they close the gap on us tomorrow. But I hope that's not the case. Either way, it's going to be an interesting game. Union Berlin on Tuesday, I think, or Wednesday. I think it's Tuesday. Union Berlin. We don't have a preview lined up, unfortunately, people. I'm still searching, so if any of the Union guys are listening in, or if you come across us, do give us a DM on our socials. We'll be more than happy to line something up. But yeah, we have to keep this run going in. We can be happy that we weren't beaten. Jacob made a pretty damning statement in the group chat, which I don't want to disclose. He compared us with some other teams, out there, which I really don't want to bring up. Man compared us with United. Fuck that, right? Like, at least we aren't United. I mean, bro, we really have to, step this up and stake a claim early doors. Especially heading into January and the Copa del Rey. So the Supercopa España in the equation, and the Champions League, also knockouts also around the corner. We need to, get that, get our steam up and running. But any final thoughts, boys? Mo, I'll come to you first. Any final thoughts for today?
No, I just hope that this was just a blip on the road, and we don't really fall off like we did last season. Around this time, it was okay. Around this time was the World Cup, but in January and February we've kind of fell off. So I hope that doesn't happen, and we keep going on, build on strength from strength, and at the end of the season we win a title, at least the league, and Farouk can be happy, although he doesn't like the tactics, but he can still be happy with the league title.
Inshallah, hopefully, with God's grace, we at least one major trophy is going to be something to celebrate this season, man. But Jacob, care to explain on the United comparisons? Because yeah, bro, that it was uncalled for.
I mean, in this game, the writing was on the wall. I mean, Isco almost scored, and we almost took the loss, against Betis. Then we should have, won comfortably. But yeah.
Man, Sunil really put Jacob on the spot. First, he says, "I'm not going to reveal anything," and the next breath, he tells him what he said. So I don't really know.
Exactly.
Because I had to, man. I fucking hate United, and the way he just compared, it was so casual, it wasn't even a rant.
Even compared us
just
to Bayern,
casually mentioned it.
Even compared us to Bayern, so.
I mean, man, Bayern plays in a league which is a one-horse race, right? So both of them, it doesn't look good, especially on you, Jacob, right? You're the one who previews our games, right? But yeah, man, this is a dent on your rep, man. But all that aside, final thoughts for the day.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna be a Girona fan. Just hope they can actually win against Barca, and that I don't care if they leapfrog us temporarily, but I'm sure we can catch up with Barca. I just want the gap to be as high as possible heading into the second half of the season.
No final thoughts on Sunil?
On me? Yeah, final thoughts on me, Jacob.
No. Probably a
Nothing,
7 out of 10 for hosting this podcast.
That's more than enough. That's more than enough. I felt like I was doing a bad job until now because I was so mad, at this game. But Farouk, bro, any final thoughts? And thoughts on Jacob as well. How do you rate him, man, for saying such bull crap in the chat?
Nah, man, Jacob is 10 over 10, man.
Oh my God, this guy. See the preview bros coming together more. I hate it. I just fucking hate it. I hate it. I don't like it one bit. This is a group inside a group. This is a micro group, right? Like I'm not here for it. But yeah, go for it, Farouk.
Yeah, man. I mean, the game. Hopefully, we do not repeat this, as Mo said, and it's just a wake up call for come on, it's not a wake up call. We're just gonna keep seeing this bullshit, anyways. Like, hopefully, we can get back to getting 3 points again, even though it's gonna performance after shitty performances. But then, yeah, it's gonna be nice to be there at least come the end of the season and be in the fight for all the trophies we're competing for.
Yeah, anything other than a draw. Girona win, not so much, but the Barcelona win tomorrow is not going to be the wake-up call. It's going to send alarm bells ringing. I'm not going to lie, because it's going to really dawn upon the players and the coaching staff that their hard work over the last month or so is all down the drain.
I still see a lot of people here don't still take Atleti seriously. Atleti basically has a game in hand. If they win their game in hand, they have Barcelona. But I understand the hesitation, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, because for me,
Sid was super. He was adamant. He told me, because he goes to some athletic games, because his manager basically, has a season ticket, so he sometimes goes and watches the athletic for the sake of it, and he tells me, bro, these guys are not to be slept on. These guys have some real good players, a real good thing going on. But again, some of the results, especially against Valencia, what I saw against Barcelona, doesn't reinforce me with enough belief to
it's
think.
Simeone. Even Simeone at this point never won, against Barcelona at home. So it's normal. But what I'm just saying is that for me personally, like, I do believe, Simeone has done his job, certainly, plug gaps in his team and, brought in players, and Griezmann playing again, basically the best player in La Liga over the last year, stuff like that. So I do believe, I would not be surprised, if at the end of February we find Atletico at the top of the league, honestly, because that's how highly I rate them. And I do believe, the lack of pressure on them, or the lack of focus on them, actually, I think helps them a lot as well this year. But yeah, let's see. Hopefully, our boys can do the job, and as Mo said, not sleep through January and February, because that's the important months.
100%.
On Atleti, I'd just like to add the fact that for me, I thought they were the favorites coming to the season, but
Yeah.
after the game against Barcelona, I am starting to have a little bit of doubts.
I'll tell you something. Like I really rate the guy Riquelme. I knew nothing about him coming into the season. He was on loan or something, right?
Yeah,
Last year,
he was at loan.
Where?
He was on loan at Girona last year.
Girona, right. But the more I see of him, he looks a really promising player. He's versatile, can play in midfield. He's been playing wing back, recently and whatnot. But yeah,
He's a wide player basically. Him and Miguel used to be a pretty good combination last season for Girona.
Fair. Right, Ashi was mentioning, let's hope United don't fire Eric Ten Hag, keep Ten Hag United. He was also mentioning anyone who compares United us with United should be banned from football and admitted to a mental asylum. Even TFC deserves better. I don't know who is TFC, but is it Tottenham? Not sure. But
Maybe
yeah, probably, yeah.
Ten
Toronto
Hag
FC.
FC?
No, there's no such thing. If there was anything resembling a Ten Hag FC, it's gone after today. Loss at home to Bournemouth, bro. It's curtains. Or like what Said was mentioning, last week. The curtains on the wall. Big up Said, big up the Big Six. But yeah, guys.
10 out of 10 for tonight, or maybe 5 or 4.
Man, this is my opportunity to pile on him. I don't get many opportunity to pile on him. Usually, it's Farouk who gives me ammo to, just shoot down his Carlo agenda.
I mean, Jacob is the last person you should be piling on. I'm just saying.
I know. But not gonna lie, the United comparison, it has really pissed me off. But it's fine. It happens. It's just heat of the moment. You're frustrated. You care about the result. You feel like it should have been so much more.
I'm just saying Jacob has enough dynamite to bring your life down. So
I don't understand what dynamite.
Jacob has enough dynamite to bring your life down. So you should just be careful.
Oh yeah. Jacob is the silent assassin. I know for once that like you should only assault Jacob if you have enough ammo in you, and if you have
might get leaked.
Really? Okay, fair. I don't know what tapes do you mean, but yeah, I'll tell you for once that I have enough right shields in my armory to protect against Jacob if it needs be, but. Yeah, man. Big up Jacob. Big up the panel. Big up every single one of you in the chat. Ashik, Rajat, Rahul is here as well. Vamo Real Betis. Fuck you, Rahul. I hope Atleti is down on the gutter. Soon enough. But yeah, big up every single one of you in the chat. Big up our people listening on in our audio platforms as well. I forgot to mention it in our Granada post match, but the other day when I put up a post asking for people to tell us where they are tuning in from, I was completely blown away by the responses. Some of the what was that? Right, okay. Somebody's phone is ringing or something. But I was completely blown away by the responses. Some of you guys mentioning some places that I never expected us to be reaching out to. Places like Belfast, Morocco. I didn't expect that one bit. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for showing us so much love, man. It's hard for me to contemplate, because when we started this podcast, I had no expectations, because there were people out there, there are professional journals who does this for a living, who has access to the Bernabeu so much more than we do, and have so much more money being funded into their project and whatnot. So I didn't have any kind of a expectation, coming into this, but the love that you guys have shown us over the last 2.5 years, I hold my hands up, man. You guys are the best. I'm not gonna lie, bar none. Yeah, guys, if you're new here, like always, smash the likes, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 2K, and yeah, show some love to our partners, Real Madrid Committee on Instagram. They run a brilliant Real Madrid fan page. Again, I love every sort of feedback, negative or positive, that you guys shoot us in our socials, on Twitter, on Instagram. Big up Sid and his team in Madrid as well. Sid is taking a break. I'm not sure where we stand, about covering the next 2 home games, Villarreal and Mallorca, because Upset is off to India, for a vacay. But we'll see. We'll see. There's some substitutions lined up. But yeah, big Upset and show some love for content from the Bernabeu, and a lot of hard work and time is being invested into it. But until next time, people, Ala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
Farouk and Mo's gone, yeah.
No, Hala Madrid, guys. Okay, I'm just talking to someone.